Hello and welcome back to the Underrated channel. I'm Jor. I'm the host of the Underrated channel and also 88 Sats Radio, where we do a live stream every single morning talking about finance, mostly Bitcoin stuff, but a lot of finance, macro stuff, and mindset, macro mindset. But today we're talking about the law of success with Napoleon Hill. We're still talking about the definite chief aim, but this is a really good one today because he tells a story of a friend of his. And it's kind of cool the way he introduces this, and you're going to hear it. But he basically said that one of his friends is one of the best known writers and public speakers in this country of the US, of course, back in the 1920s. And then he goes on to say he made a couple changes here. He had this unlock of the subconscious mind and how to train it, essentially. And he said before doing this, before implementing this strategy, he was neither a writer nor a speaker. So the story that he's going to tell, he explains how this writer, or this person, I should say, this person started doing something every night. And within the 10-year period here that he talks about, he became one of the best known writers and public speakers in this country. He didn't say his name, which I kind of respect, but also the story about him is pretty cool. And I think that this is something that we can actually implement into our own daily routine and see what happens with it. So here it is. This is, we're going to watch about 4 minutes of this book, Law of Success. And we're going to listen to this story here from Napoleon about his good friend and how well it worked.
Before his mind, until it influenced him to take the necessary steps to enter a more profitable calling.
Whoa.
He put sufficient labor into his work to bring him a substantial
That's not what we're looking for.
Return if that labor were directed toward the attainment of a definite purpose.
Technical difficulties. Let's reset this and see what I've never seen that before. Internet's kind of crappy here though, right now. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay.
Developed. Some years ago, Louis Victor Atinge was given a life sentence.
What's going on?
And there you will find people of this Washington. This man could get out of the peanut business if he had the vision and the ambition first to imagine himself in a more profitable calling, and the perseverance to hold that picture before his mind until it influenced him to take the necessary steps to enter a more profitable calling. He put sufficient labor into his work to bring him a substantial return if that labor were directed toward the attainment of a definite purpose that offered bigger returns. One of my closest personal friends is one of the best-known writers and public speakers of this country. About 10 years ago, he caught sight of the possibilities of this principle of self-suggestion and began immediately to harness it and put it to work. He worked out a plan for its application that proved to be very effective. At that time, he was neither a writer nor a speaker. Each night, just before going to sleep, he would shut his eyes and see, in his imagination, a long council table at which he placed, in his imagination, certain well-known men whose characteristics he wished to absorb into his own personality. At the end of the table he placed Lincoln, and on either side of the table he placed Napoleon, Washington, Emerson, and Elbert Hubbard. He then proceeded to talk to these imaginary figures that he had seated at his imaginary council table, something after this manner. Mr. Lincoln, I desire to build in my own character those qualities of patience and fairness toward all mankind, and the keen sense of humor which were your outstanding characteristics. I need these qualities, and I shall not be contented until I have developed them. Mr. Washington, I desire to build in my own character those qualities of patriotism and self-sacrifice and leadership which were your outstanding characteristics. Mr. Emerson, I desire to build in my own character those qualities of vision and the ability to interpret the laws of nature as written in the rocks of prison walls and growing trees and flowing brooks and growing flowers and the faces of little children, which were your outstanding characteristics. Napoleon, I desire to build in my own character those qualities of self-reliance and the strategic ability to master obstacles and profit by mistakes and develop strength out of defeat, which were your outstanding characteristics. Mr. Hubbard, I desire to develop the ability to equal and even to excel the ability that you possessed with which to express yourself in clear, concise, and forceful language. Night after night, for many months, this man saw these men seated around that imaginary council table until finally he had imprinted their outstanding characteristics upon his own subconscious mind so clearly that he began to develop a personality which was a composite of their personalities. The subconscious mind may be likened to a magnet, and when it has been vitalized and thoroughly saturated with any definite purpose, it has a decided tendency to attract all that is necessary for the fulfillment of that purpose. Like attracts like, and you may see evidence of this law in every blade of grass and every growing tree. The acorn attracts from the soil and the air the necessary materials out of which to grow an oak tree. It never grows a tree that is part oak and part poplar. Every grain of wheat that is planted in the soil attracts the materials out of which to grow a stalk of wheat. It never makes a mistake and grows both oats and wheat on the same stalk. And men are subject also to this same law of attraction. Go into any cheap boarding house district in any city, and there you will find people of the same general trend of mind associated together. On the other hand, go into any prosperous community, and there you will find people of the same general tendencies associated together. Men who are successful always seek the company of others who are successful, while men who are on the ragged side of life always seek the company of those who are in similar circumstances. Misery loves company. Water seeks its level with no finer certainty than man seeks the company of those who occupy his own general status financially and mentally. A professor of Yale University and an illiterate hobo have nothing in common. They would be miserable if thrown together for any great length of time. Oil and water will mix as readily as will men who have nothing in common. All of which leads up to this statement, that you will attract to you people who harmonize with your own philosophy of life, whether you wish it or not. This being true, can you not see the importance of vitalizing your mind with a definite chief aim that will attract to you people who will be of help to you and not a hindrance? Suppose your definite chief aim is far above your present station in life. What of it? It is your privilege, nay, your duty, to aim high in life. You owe it to yourself and to the community in which you live to set a high standard for yourself. There is much evidence to justify the belief that nothing within reason is beyond the possibility of attainment by the man whose definite chief aim has been well developed. Some years ago,
Wow, what a video here today. Sorry. Just realized my microphone was muted. I was right. But anyways, you didn't really miss much. What I was trying to say there, my muted self was trying to say there, is I absolutely love that idea. I love the idea of taking 5 or 6 people and just imagining yourself around a table sitting with them and talking to them and asking them. And more so what you're doing there is training your subconscious mind, which I think is a very important aspect of this whole thing, because your subconscious mind, without you really realizing it or not, actually decides pretty much everything throughout your day. The actions you take, the decisions you make, all these things kind of stem from that subconscious mind, which is developed very early on in our lives. And I think that it's very difficult to kind of change that. We also call that the paradigm that people are in. and breaking free and creating a new paradigm. But, it's the whole purpose of this channel and the videos that I'm sharing here are mostly to act as a mind stimulant. But in certain situations and certain things that we talk about here, I think that there is actually something that we can take away and do, actionable items. And I think if you were to implement this into your routine, he did that every night before he went to bed. And I've heard a lot of different thought leaders like Napoleon Hill talk about what you think about before you go to bed. You essentially have the next 6, 7, 8 hours to let your mind marinate on that, which I love that idea. And I've been doing that for a lot of years now, not religiously, but I try to do it whenever I remember to. And so you can kind of give your subconscious mind tasks almost, or ideas. And that's how change happens in your life. So when you think about it that way, what would you need to do if you were to do that in your own routine? Well, you need to find 5 or 6 people. And the reason I like this is because he's not taking like one person, because every person has faults. There's no perfect human being out there. There has never been, there never will be in the future. And so instead of like focusing on one person that you want to become, you focus on the characteristics of people. And so you can find, basically you kind of think about what characteristics and personality types would make you more valuable, would help you become more successful and work you closer to your definite chief aim. And so you think about 5 or 6 different people, and you kind of have to come up with this first. That's kind of the starting point. And you think about the characteristics, I guess. You start with the characteristics. What do you need? What do you want to be better at? What do you want to improve about yourself, characteristic wise? And then you think about somebody who's the best in that aspect of it. So in this case, he used people like George Washington, Emerson, who else was in there? Napoleon. And then you have these conversations. And I think what you'd have to do before this, and I was thinking about it because I want to start doing this myself. So I was thinking, what would I need to do to make this happen? And so I started with the characteristics, found the people who are the best at each of those characteristics. And then I think what you would honestly have to do is you'd have to write it down over and over and over again. That's how I do it anyways. That's how I make things stick. I write it down over and over and over and over again, because he said you have to imprint it. He said he did this. He used this technique until he had imprinted their outstanding characteristics upon his own subconscious mind. Imprinted. So you don't imprint something by thinking about it once or twice. You imprint something in your subconscious mind and into your memory, I guess. That's kind of where it starts. Starts with your memory and ends up in your subconscious mind if you do it over and over and over again. Repetition. So you'd have to go through each of these. It's kind of a process, but just think about that. Kind of what we started with today was that this guy, he was one of the best known writers and public speakers in this country. And before implementing this strategy, he was neither a writer nor a speaker. And so there was probably other things involved with that, but that to me would suggest that in 10 years, this guy, whoever this was, used this strategy and turned himself into one of the greatest known writers and speakers in the country in 10 years, having no experience before that. That's pretty, I think you should give that some serious thought, truly. And so you go through this yourself and you think about these different things, and you would literally have to memorize these different, I guess, your routine that you go through. And then you do it every night and you do it over and over and over again. And I think that would have a very profound effect on your subconscious mind, which would trickle into the rest of your life. So I think that's a good action item there. If anybody's up to the challenge, I think I'm going to do that myself. And I was kind of thinking about some characteristics and people who hold those characteristics. But, it's not easy. And if it was easy, if this stuff was easy to do and easy to implement and widespread, everybody would do it. That's the simple reality of this stuff, is that most people go through life and just not knowing about this kind of stuff, for one, but also not taking any sort of action in that direction. So the purpose of this whole course, underrated, doing more than paid for, being part of the 1% and not the 99%. These are the kind of things that set the 1% apart from the 99%. So I thought that was a really good lesson, a really good idea today. And a couple of other things he said there at the end of that. He said, suppose your definite chief aim is far above your present station in life. What of it? Suppose your definite chief aim is far above your present station in life. What of it? It is your duty to aim high in life. It is your duty to aim high in life. And I like that. He ended it by saying, there's really no limits to what we can do. None. And he said, as long as you have well-developed, definite chief aim, well-developed means you've thought about it. You've consistently went back to it and built it into your routine. So you're looking at it every day. You're thinking about it every day, and it trickles into your subconscious mind. So it has to be well-developed, and it has to be within reason. And anything that's well-developed and within reason can be accomplished, which is pretty crazy to think about. Like within reason, obviously for me, if my definite chief aim was to become an NBA basketball player and play for the Toronto Raptors, that's not within reason. I'm too old, I'm too short, and I have zero basketball ability. Even if I spent every day for the next 10 years, I wouldn't be able to make the NBA. So that's not within reason for me. But there's a lot of things that are within reason for me. And so if you figure out what that is, and it's well developed, which means you actually think about it every day, you write it down, and you build it into your subconscious mind, there's no reason why you can't do it. It's pretty powerful when you think about it that way. It really is. So that's the lesson. That's the lesson for today. I don't know what I'm going to title it yet. I think it's going to be, it is your duty to aim high in life. And so these are some tools and strategies that you can use to help you with that and get there. And I forgot to put my QR code on here for the channel. So there it is. If you have been enjoying these, and shout out to the people who have been sending some value to this, and to the people who have been leaving comments. Again, it's a new channel, and I think that whether you subscribe or not, it doesn't matter much. I guess it kind of shows that there's some demand for it to me. But most importantly, if you've been enjoying these, just leave a little comment. The comment section is very much like a review section for a product, where before somebody buys it, they scroll through the reviews and see what other people are saying about it. And I feel like anybody who I would want to be talking to anyways does the same kind of thing. Before they commit their time to watching a video, they look at the comments and see what other people are saying about it. So if you've been enjoying these and you don't have sats to send, or you don't know how to do that, I would appreciate if you just leave a comment and let me know that you're enjoying these. So that's it. Hope you're having a great day today, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.